Hi, I am Dr. Felice Gersh. I'm your integrative physician here today to talk with you about the use of cannabis in the era of the coronavirus. So, just as an introduction to myself, for those of you who don't know me, I am an integrative physician. I'm board certified in both integrative medicine and OBGYN. So, I cover the gamut of all kinds of problems that people can face in their lives. And now we're at a time unprecedented in the history of our lives, and that is dealing with coronavirus, the pandemic that has swept the earth. So, what has been found about the use of cannabis products and coronavirus? Well, one thing I can tell you is that there's very little to say. That's the unfortunate thing. There is no data. But what I can tell you is what you shouldn't do. And what is that? You should not be smoking marijuana. You shouldn't be smoking anything. You shouldn't be vaping. Now, here is a story that is not, it's just an N of one. It's one person. And that is a young woman who was vaping, and she ended up on a ventilator with a coronavirus infection. So we don't want to do anything that can harm our lungs. And inhaling any type of smoke, including smoke from cigarettes, including smoke from marijuana, can be harmful. It's really hard to come up with hard data because a lot of people who smoke marijuana also smoke cigarettes. There's no one actually investigating the subject. So we just have to go sometimes by common sense. We do know that smoke causes inflammation in the lungs, and a good part of the problem with the coronavirus is lung inflammation. Now we know it does involve other organs because it's a body-wide problem now that we really understand the mechanism, which I'll go into as actually I'd love to talk about that with you another time. We'll definitely set up a time where I'm going to actually step by step walk you through the entire mechanism of what the coronavirus is doing and why all these different organs are involved. But nevertheless, the lungs are still a major target. I don't want you to do anything that can harm them. But what about edibles? What about that? Is that going to be okay? Well, once again, we have no data. And here's where the concern is. Well, we know that marijuana, cannabis products, and I'm going to talk about hemp separately, that they do what? They actually can modulate the immune system. They can reduce inflammation. Now, that can be a wonderful thing when you have chronic pain or chronic worry, because that's like neuroinflammation, and pain is inflammation. So having something that modulates inflammation and kind of controls your immune system so that it doesn't escalate and create all that inflammatory response can be amazing when you have a chronic condition. So like, what's a chronic condition? How about like osteoarthritis or headaches, back problems, backaches? Those are chronic kinds of things. We don't really think of that as an acute, although you may have an acute exacerbation. But what about coronavirus? That's an acute infection. Now, we want our immune system to be hypervigilant at the time the infectious agent, the virus, tries to enter our bodies. That's when we don't want to modulate the immune system to downregulate it. That's some of the concerns about using non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like ibuprofen. We're worried, are we downregulating the immune system so that if the virus shows up trying to get in, it just lets it in? Because our immune system doesn't make the inflammatory products to actually fend off the viral invader. So that's the concern about using any of the cannabis products, and that would apply to marijuana-based cannabis or hemp-based. So I have concerns. If there's no data, remember, I took the Hippocratic Oath, which is do no harm. There's nothing I want more than to have you feel calm and lower pain, but I don't want to do anything that could possibly lower your body's ability to fight the coronavirus when it first takes hold or first tries to enter your body. So what am I recommending? I'm recommending that you use it gingerly. Now, as far as a product like marijuana, absolutely, like I said, no smoking. And in terms of edibles, I would just say we have no data. If you don't really need it, maybe now's the time not to use it, especially for recreational use. What can you do instead? If you're having anxiety or trouble sleeping, well, maybe what you can do is take up guided imagery, meditation, essential oils that are so calming. Just like I mentioned before, you can do a little whiff of neroli or lavender or bergamot, and that will calm you. Do a magnesium bath with Epsom salts. Put it in the bath and soak and relax. Actually, that's what I do most every night. It's very calming, allows sleep to come. So you don't have to use green medicine. After all, that's what cannabis is. It's green medicine. It's natural medicine. That's what I call green medicine. But if you can avoid it, let's avoid it. Now, what if you're using it for a medical purpose? For example, you're dealing with something like chronic arthritis, and this is really helping you, or chronic back pain. Well, I can't just have people be in agony. That's not a solution. And I'm certainly not going to say, well, switch to an NSAID, take ibuprofen or similars. I wouldn't recommend that. So like everything, it's always risk-benefit ratio. You have to discuss this with your doctor because every situation needs to be evaluated for its unique characteristics. So you need to find out, is this worthwhile for you? Because having chronic pain is really not a solution. We can't just do that. But recreational use, find other ways to relax and de-stress. There are so many. Like now it's warm. If you can, take a nice walk in the sun when it's daytime, or how about during the beautiful sunset? Watch the sunset. Get social. Social with distance, that equals feeling good. Okay? So don't isolate yourself from people, just distance from people. It's not like you're not supposed to be in communication with people, and you can be with people, you just have to be apart, right? The idea is not to infect one another, not to treat each other like you're shooting out death rays. That's not what's happening. So definitely look for other alternatives. If you are using a cannabis product for medicinal use, you need to discuss that with your personal physician to see if, because we don't really know, are we downregulating the immune system enough or at all that we may diminish our ability to fight off the initial infection. Now, there's a lot about the cytokine storm when you get a lot of overregulated inflammatory system. Now, this is very interesting. I am only posing this as a question. I don't have the answer. And that is, what about people who are chronically inflamed? These are people who are obese. They have diabetes. They have hypertension. They have cardiovascular disease. People of that sort. And of course, it also can include menopausal women, particularly those not on hormones. They have an underlying state of low-grade chronic inflammation. Would taking a cannabis product, because it modulates the immune system, down-regulate some of that inflammation, help to get the endocannabinoid system kind of back on track, and maybe improve the immune system's response? I don't know. Wouldn't it be great to have that information? I hope someone will set up a study so we can know if modulating the immune system of people who are now in a state of chronic low-grade inflammation, will that help them? Not harm them, but actually help them. And what about people who do get infected and their bodies are starting to show signs of getting into that cytokine storm? Would the use of some sort of a cannabis product help? I have no idea. I wish I knew, but these are areas that deserve research and exploration because these are readily available and safe products. We know that from other uses. In terms of edibles, I just want to remind everyone that edibles have byproducts as what you eat gets modified into other products like downstream metabolites that can also be active. So be careful. You may have a prolonged effect or a heightened effect that you did not realize. People are still driving. Don't use this type of product. Don't use an edible and then go drive. Please, car accidents, they can be fatal. Maybe use it before you go to bed. And you know the mantra that we always say, start low, Go slow. See how your body responds. We're all unique. Don't assume that you need to start with a high dose. Actually, that's not the right way. Start with a low dose. So, if you're pregnant, oh my gosh, we're not even having that conversation. Of course, all cannabis products are off the menu. That would never be appropriate. And we'll talk more about that if you don't know about it. But there's always the potential that it can interfere with our sex hormone production. So no way, absolutely, under any circumstances, should any cannabis product be used in a woman who is pregnant unless and I always have to put in because there are always these moderating situations. Like, what if she is severely nauseated? She has hyperemesis. Well, once again, risk-benefit ratio. Maybe ginger isn't doing it. Maybe acupressure isn't doing it. Even pharmaceuticals, you have to weigh the risk. Everything is about risk-benefit ratio. So what I'm saying is for pregnant women, not for things that can be treated by like a massage, say a family member, a spouse can actually do a massage, compresses, relaxation. Do not consider it for stress. That would be an inappropriate use. For nausea, please discuss it with your physician and see if risk-benefit ratio makes sense for you. But no recreational use, please, and be sure that you know what product you're using. Cannabis, I always worry about it. Are they controlled? Are they tested? Are there pesticides and chemicals in it? We don't know because a lot of the cannabis products for marijuana are not always tested. And even when they are, some of the testers are not, to be trusted. So see if you know your grower as well if you're using a marijuana-based cannabis product. And if you're using a hemp-based one, there are companies that have safe organic products. As I've mentioned, I am part of the key opinion leader panel for the company Pure Encapsulations. Always in full disclosure, I work with them because I believe and trust in everything they do. And they do make an excellent gel cap with a hemp-based, totally pure organic product from hemp with the full entourage effect. And I love using that for my patients who have pain and mood problems, for sleep. But once again, we don't know what it means if you use a product like that and then you get infected with the coronavirus. So as we always keep saying, as in the spirit of caution, we will say don't use any green medicine if you don't need it. Risk-benefit ratio is always important, and in this case we have basically no data to know, but there's lots of questions, hopefully lots of studies and exploration of the many potential uses that cannabis products can hold for us, for our friends, our relatives, but we just have to wait for the data. Always stay on the side of caution. So for today, that's it on cannabis and the whole subject of coronavirus. And I do have a couple of questions. Let me check here. One is about older women. Well, I don't have to worry about hormone production, so none of the concerns I have with reproductive aged women when we're dealing with older menopausal women. And this brings back that same question. Women who are in the menopause become innately inflamed. Their immune systems are not as well controlled without estrogen from their ovaries being present in the body. So that's why the diseases of aging are really the diseases of loss of estrogen. Not 100%, but in large measure. And it creates inflammation. That's why they talk about inflammaging. And we do know that cannabis products, and I have much more familiarity with hemp. That's what I use the most because I'm still, like I mentioned, cautious about the chemicals that might be in marijuana-based products. And it's just safer for me, with my level of experience, not to use too much THC. So I like to use the hemp-based products. And I'm really interested in learning. If you take a woman in the menopause and you give her a hemp product, a really high-quality product that has cannabis and the full entourage effect, will that actually modulate her immune system in a way that it will be more functional and that you'll be able to fight off infections more effectively. We just don't know. So once again, only use it if you really need to. There's no other good alternatives, and please discuss it with your physician. So thank you so much for joining me today. I will be back next week, and all of my shows will be archived on YouTube channel. So please stand by, stay tuned, come back. We will be educating you on all the newest, greatest, must-know information on living in the age of coronavirus. Take care, stay safe, see you soon.